Welcome to the Dynasty Pulse Rookie Mock Draft Dance Party. I'm your host, bigz. And with me, I got Grindberg, I got Shultzy, I got Chev, I got Coach Retzlaff, and we are getting down on these rookies. What's up, boys?
Hey. What's up, man?
Hey.
I was actively trying to take my pants off before you stopped the music.
Pants off. It's the Dynasty Pulse Rookie Mock Draft. We are going to be mocking. You're a rookie. We're going to be drafting rookies. It's a 12-man draft with 5 people. So we're each going to be drafting way more guys than we should. And also, there's an auto drafter. I did not want the first pick, so first pick is going to be an auto draft. And yeah, let's do this.
Yeah.
Dude, I thought you wanted Ashton Genty like hard.
No.
Everything you said last week, man, says the opposite. Oh, wow.
He traded out of the pick, actually. I gave him the first pick in the show sheet, and he adamantly threw it away, actually. So we'll definitely revisit that call. But let's get into some
phone.
I broke my phone on the dance-a-thon on our intro here, bigz. Way to step it up. Okay, guys, let's talk about a couple of news stories here, and one that is create a lot of controversy and a lot of rising points right now, and that is the rising star Jayden Daniels, his historic rookie run and his dynasty outlook. Like, some people are putting him in the same breath as, the 101 right now in a dynasty startup. I don't know if he's actually that far yet, but we're going to kind of, delve into that situation a little bit here. After, the game last week, he's headed for his first NFC championship appearance. And this is the first one for the Commanders in 3 decades. He has been electric all season long, leading the charge. He finished as the QB4, and incredible job by Jayden Daniels. Fantasy managers after that rookie season have hit a gold mine if you had him. Many of us did because, you listened to our show here, and bigz and I have been on, Jayden Daniels all off season, especially when we founded the Pulse, at the beginning of the last year. And Jayden Daniels was a hot topic throughout our off season, and we had a lot of shares of him. So guys, especially bigz here, after his already impressive performance and clutch performances in big games, mind you, how should dynasty managers value him moving forward? Is he like an untouchable asset right now? Is he in that elite tier?
Yeah, I'm not trading him. I mean, you're gonna have to put a lot on the table if you want to get Jayden Daniels off of my team. I don't know about the 101 in Superflex startups. I probably still sit him within the top 5, but I don't know how you could draft him over Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, that ilk. But still love him. I would probably rank him as my 3rd quarterback. The potential is there. We can't forget this was his rookie season. This was a lot of training wheels stuff. This was him getting used to the Cliff Kingsbury offense. This was him getting used to his wide receivers and the whole offensive system and everything, getting used to NFL game speed. I don't see him doing a major backslide from this point. There are sophomore slumps, but as far as his fantasy future is concerned, what he brings to the table pretty much withstands sophomore slumps. He's going to be able to run enough that it won't matter if defenses kind of figure him out, because he's got the playmaking ability to overcome. He's definitely a top 5 quarterback for me, and I'd probably put him as QB3.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat here, man. This is looking like the same exact value arc that we saw to CJ Stroud last year coming off the playoffs and into the offseason, except this is totally warranted, right? I'm looking at a game log here for this guy. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 games of 24 fantasy points or more running into week 17. That's insane.
Yeah, and
we saw 2 games like that. We saw 2 games like that out of CJ Stroud, and he got the same pump that we're looking at Jayden Daniels. I'm buying in on this one. Like, this one's for real. What's not to love?
Okay. Well, Chev, I'm going to hand this one over to you then, because similar based off of that, I'm going to piggyback off of what Shultzy just said. How do you handle the balance between a proven veteran talent and young emerging stars like Daniels in dynasty leagues? Should you look to trade him now before his value completely skyrockets, or do you hold in on the hope that a couple more seasons of growth will pull him further into the untouchable territory?
So for me, Jay, you're saying would I trade Jayden Daniels for a proven vet?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely not. No, there is no reason. You don't split a dollar into quarters. And here's the thing: we talked about this on a previous episode. You cannot trade. Like, if you have Jayden Daniels, the Lamar owner's not going to take Jayden Daniels straight up for Lamar. If you have Josh Allen, the Josh Allen owner is not going to accept a trade Jayden Daniels straight up for Josh Allen. So you would be adding to that. So thus the value would be on the side of receiving Jayden Daniels plus. So with a young superstar, with a guy like this, with a rushing floor that, we're looking at 890 yards rushing as a rookie. And that's just, we don't know if that's baseline. We don't know if that's ceiling. Justin Fields was a rushing quarterback, and he capped out at 1,200 yards one season. So we could be looking at a similar ceiling for Jayden Daniels running the football, and that's 900 yards, including the fact that he played like 4 games with broken ribs and couldn't run. So this is, as much as it sounds weird to say it, this is probably closer to a median outcome. I won't say floor, but this is closer to a median outcome for Jayden Daniels than it is a ceiling. So if I have him, you're going to have to ruin your roster to get him from me.
I love that you brought up Justin Fields and Shultzy brought up CJ Stroud, because I have a tweet that's out there that says that Jayden Daniels is Anthony Richardson, but with a great arm and accuracy and ability to move the ball down the field and etc. And I feel like if you took CJ Stroud and his passing ability and Justin Fields and his running ability and you merge them into one guy, then you have Jayden Daniels. We shouldn't forget that when Justin Fields was putting up top 10 fantasy quarterback numbers, he was also 34th in the league, according to Football Outsiders DVOA. That was below Zach Wilson. He was not a good passer, and he was still a top 10 fantasy quarterback. So there is no doubting Jayden Daniels' arrival in 2024.
Hey, I love it all. It's already too late if you continue to wait. Dynasty is so reactionary. Daniels is cemented into the top 3 startup discussion. You might prefer Josh Allen. You might prefer Lamar Jackson. I can't fault them at all. However, Jayden Daniels is in the neighborhood. That cul-de-sac has a house sold sign up. Jayden Daniels goes out to check his front yard to get the mail, and he is waving at Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. We spoke a few weeks to the
do their dogs play together?
Say what? Oh, yeah.
Do their dogs play together? Okay.
And they can run, all 3 of them.
Okay.
And we talked about the endowment effect. You're not going to get the Allen and the Daniels owners to go 1 for 1. You already have what you have. You value what you have. You want to get the plus on the other side. Chances are it's just not going to happen. Same thing for Lamar. Essentially what's going to happen in the offseason in 2025, you do a startup, right? $30, pay your 2 years in at $60, low stakes. You draw that 101. If you can't trade out, you're likely going to sit there. Hey, you know what? I'm going to mess around. I'm going to click some Jayden Daniels. In higher stakes, you may be more adhering to, I'm going to get the locked up thing with Josh Allen. I'm going to get the repeatability of Lamar Jackson. But make no mistake, at this point, Jayden Daniels is in the conversation. And it's not, we don't say that lightly for everything he's done. You guys had talked earlier to 978 yards rushing, which was number 2. And that's with that injury that he suffered to his ribs. The rushing numbers are there, but he's a quality passer first. And that's what steers the ship versus somebody like Jalen Hurts, who he has to run to facilitate his passing, which 5 of the last 6 games, under 200 yards passing. A little bit worried about Jalen Hurts there. Jayden Daniels does not have that problem. He can go throw mode, then he runs, and he can keep defenses off balance. So in this Konami code goodness where we talk about just the one-itis that somebody like Justin Fields has, Jayden Daniels has it all, which aligns to guys who are 28 now in Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. So essentially, you're getting a 4-year discount with Jayden Daniels.
Yeah, I like it. Another thing I like, and I really am interested to hear what you guys have to say about this situation, because I'm excited to see what Ben Johnson can bring to the Chicago Bears. They're making a major leap forward here, in my opinion, hiring Ben Johnson as their new head coach. A move, it promises to have significant fantasy football implications. That's why I'm so giddy about it. He served as the offensive coordinator, we know, for the Lions. They led him to finishes in the top 5 in fantasy points per yards, including a remarkable first place in 2024. We know he can elevate offensive players, and I'm hoping he does that with the quarterback, Caleb Williams, under his guidance. I'm looking for Williams to see his fantasy stock rise significantly in 2025. He's got a real chance to improve upon his QB 16 finish. Speaking of the Bears offense, one of the players I'm going to be watching closely is going to be Odunze, DJ Moore as well. Potentially, Keenan Allen could be out of the picture. So, that's going to open up the door for Rome to step up as that key target. His value could soar if he becomes the primary receiver, which I'm expecting him to be. So, Shultzy, with the addition of Ben Johnson, can Caleb Williams break out in a significant way in 2025? And how high should fantasy gamers prioritize him in QB rankings?
Yeah, absolutely. This guy can break out. I mean, nobody needs to sit here and remind you about the talent this dude has. Like, we spent, I don't know, 2 off seasons pretty much like oogling over this dude's arm and like the clips of this guy. Like, nobody needs to remind anyone of that. So yes, absolutely, it can happen. He's getting one of the brightest offensive minds in the game, who's just brought talent or success to Jared Goff in like a huge way. Absolutely, like, this can happen. How high can he get in rankings? That's going to be dicey, man. Like, this is really tough to project. Like, we got what we saw out of Caleb Williams. What do you do with that, right? Like, they hired Shane Waldron, man. This guy doesn't have any business getting another offensive coordinator job. And with Matt Eberflus as the head coach, Shane Waldron was the top dude of that coordinator search. This offense was kind of doomed from the start. This is really tough to project for me. It's going to be, obviously, it's arrow up with Ben Johnson. But I think you can comfortably sit him into like a nice QB2 now.
I'll piggyback off of that. And I think that Ben Johnson coming to this offense, and so we've discussed all the obvious options. Obviously, Rome Odunze is going to be a huge hot ticket item in dynasty leagues and transactions. I would be willing to bet. We talked about a trade that I was negotiating with another person last episode. And I think that what happens here is Ben Johnson gives Caleb Williams, or is actually able to utilize Caleb Williams to his strengths. And I think that we've seen a decent enough rushing floor. I think he finished with 400 plus. I want to say the number is exactly like 489 rushing yards as a rookie. So he has a rushing baseline. It's not Jayden Daniels. And then he took care of the ball. I would need to look at his turnover worthy plays. And also, he was doing this in a completely broken system that didn't give him any easy outs. Like, we were looking at Jared Goff as a complete system quarterback before Ben Johnson got there. Now, all of a sudden, he has 2 years of elite production with Ben Johnson. And now everybody's like, oh, Jared Goff is one of the prototypical pocket passers in the league. # Novato.
Done it. Come on.
Hashtag Novato boys. But also, like, so you're getting a quarterback with proven mobility, with a laser cannon rocket arm, and you're getting an offensive coordinator who you've seen have just a complete feel for how to utilize elite personnel. So in saying that, I think that Caleb Williams is at worst like QB 14 if he plays all the games next season. And I am personally looking to try to make some cheap plays on Cole Kmet because of what I've seen from what he did with Sam Laporta previously. And there may not be a Keenan Allen, and it's just a three-way target distribution between the $50 million tight end, Rome Odunze, and DJ Moore. So I would be looking to start making plays towards Cole Kmet, and especially in tight end premium leagues.
I'm going to go
you
one
brought
better.
it up. Watching the Bears this year, the one thing I is just like, they never gave this dude easy buttons. And Ben Johnson's going to give him that.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to design trick plays. He's going to make things easy for Caleb to not have to do all the wizard Superman run around in the pocket and almost get killed every play and not get him sacked 70 times.
He's still going to do that.
Didn't he avoid like 55 sacks?
Yeah. And he was still sacked 68 times.
Yep. I'm going to go one better on your rankings, or two better. I'm going to slot him in as my QB 12. And Grindberg knows my feelings on Caleb Williams. We did see some progression. We knew that there was going to be a learning curve with him. It wasn't going to be an immediate impact on the league. And I just think there's a whole lot of room for improvement, and I'm going to be targeting him. But the guy I want to own in that offense is Dennison Oliver, aka DJ Moore. The Lions haven't had a legit outside receiver that can also run slot routes. They have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who's a slot guy, and they have Jamison Williams, who's a slot guy that plays deep. We've seen what DJ Moore can do. And if Ben Johnson knows what he has, and I think he does, I think we're going to see a very different offense than what we saw with the Lions. And a lot of that is going to be DJ Moore.
Yes. Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. So then, Jeremiah, looking ahead, if DJ Moore could be the apple there, what are we going to be looking at, with Rome Odunze, especially if Keenan Allen departs, given Ben Johnson's history of maximizing the potential of his wide receivers? How do you think Odunze's ceiling can be in 2025 and beyond? Is he that top 20 dynasty wide receiver everybody's aggressively attacking, especially with this emergence of Caleb Williams potentially? Or should they, us dynasty managers temper our expectations until the offense actually develops?
It's funny enough, Caleb Williams, my impression of him is that he's a very streaky quarterback as a rookie. When he gets hot, he can support top 12 weeks for Keenan Allen and DJ Moore. They both had some pretty strong stretches right around weeks 12 through 16, and slot in Rome Odunze for that in the event that Keenan Allen is out. Let's talk a little bit about Rome Odunze, wide receiver 49 on the season. His air yards, his deep targets remind me a lot of the struggles that Chris Olave has had in New Orleans. Now, the bullish news is Rome has a better quarterback in Caleb Williams and a better coaching setup with Ben Johnson. Talk about meat on the bone. 14th in air yards with 1398. Rome Odunze, 12th in deep targets with 23. 12th in red zone targets with 18. And he only came away with 3 touchdowns. 3rd in unrealized air yards with 917. So there, again, a little bit of the Chris Olave model. For all of that, Odunze came away with 734 receiving yards and the aforementioned 3 touchdowns. So to me, there's a lot of meat left on the bone for 2025. The narrative is who can be that slot receiver in Ben Johnson's offense, and the low-hanging fruit will be who can be Amon-Ra St. Brown. It won't work like that, fit for fit. Amon-Ra is on a different level. Bigz spoke to the differentiation between DJ Moore, Jamison Williams, and Amon-Ra St. Brown very succinctly. Amon-Ra was the wide receiver 2 this year. I don't see DJ Moore Rome Odunze or Keenan Allen being a wide receiver 2 overall in this offense, but I see a lot of bullish nature. Back to Odunze, 231 slot snaps. It ranked 44th at the position, so maybe there'll be some creativity to move him around. I think Odunze, to answer your question, Mike, can entertain wide receiver 20. Odunze's teammate DJ Moore was wide receiver 17 in 2024. I think that can spike way up. Keenan Allen, while wide receiver 37, he did have 4 or 5 games as a wide receiver 14 or better, with 3 of those as top 5 or better from weeks 12 to 16. So the story we're going to tell ourselves that Odunze is going to pull a JSN if Keenan Allen sticks around. Now, Keenan Allen has already said it's the Chargers or the Bears at this point. I'm leaning Allen wants to go back and win with the Chargers, who are closer to a Super Bowl. The tier I'd like Odunze to enter in Dynasty are guys like this. Ready? Zay Flowers. Can he get towards DJ Moore? DJ Moore is going to rise, so it may be tough for Odunze to chase him. Devonta Smith, Jordan Addison, Terry McLaurin, George Pickens. That's right around the tier of guys that I would like Odunze to splash as a sophomore. The key to this question is in advising dynasty managers to wait and see how the offseason and the offense develops. In fantasy football, though, you have to make your bets early. If you're not early, you're late. I'd rather be preemptive right now and aggressive for Odunze rather than miss the boat and have to pay full freight. You'll be able to still buy a high on Odunze, but why not just go aggressively buy now? A big part of that is just believing in your player evaluation as a dynasty player and just pushing the chips in now, making that preemptive move. If you're not early, you're going to be late. I love the call. I love the question. Wide receiver 20 for Rome Odunze. I think the stock is up. Preemptively, you should strike now. I think there's a lot of people who are going to be sharp on that. People who have Odunze are going to have a low-key endowment effect where they want a little bit more. They know what you're doing. So in sharper leagues, it may already be tough. It may be getting late early. So I love that. Rome Odunze, stock up.
Hey, look, you pay early, you can overpay. And then if you overpay early, you're paying market price. Later is market price. You're just paying it early. You don't got to overpay later.
Yep, you won't, because you won't be, as I say in the wire, the price of the brick's gone up. You can't get yesterday's price today. We're just saying that now for future. We're telling you what's going to happen tomorrow.
So bigz.
When they started playing down in the hole on Hard Knocks the other night, I was like, oh, it's time for a rewatch. And then I got into my Max app and I went to go get the wire and I saw Boardwalk Empire and I was like, oh, now this is what I'm doing. And I started a Boardwalk Empire rewatch. But wire's next because it's a once a year thing. What were you going to say, Grindberg?
Well, I was going to ask you, because you were pretty smitten on DJ Moore before this. So, what's your thoughts on Rome and how that offense is going to play out under Ben Johnson? What do you think Rome's upside is? Is he going to be the alpha there, or is it DJ Moore?
That remains to be seen. So the focus of the Detroit offense is Amon-Ra moving around and coming off the ball at a bunch of different spots. Now, traditionally, DJ Moore has played much fewer slot than even Odunze did last year. Odunze had far more slot snaps. That leaves DJ Moore on the outside. Although Odunze is much, much bigger than DJ Moore is, I still think that DJ Moore fits that hybrid model of an Amon-Ra type. He can work in the middle and he can mix it up with the big boys. He can also go deep. We've seen that from him. We saw that from him plenty of times before even Caleb got there. I like both of their versatility, and I don't think whether Keenan sticks around or not, it's going to change what either of those two do. I think their ceilings are their ceilings, and they're independent of Keenan Allen. That is to say, I think we kind of know what we have with Odunze, and we know what we have with DJ Moore, and I still prefer DJ Moore.
Chev, you look eager to get in on here.
So I was going to say a very, very sharp call to say that like DJ Moore moves into a power slot type of role in Ben Johnson's offense. he was forced to play the prototypical X receiver, and his fantasy points per route run plummeted when just being lined up outside. The moment that they fired Shane Waldron and started moving him around the formation, lining him up, like you saw in the Thanksgiving game, he scored on a slot fade. Expect to see much more of that in 2025. Along with that, he's going to be in motion, catching drags, being thrown screens. Like, I expect his season to look more like, I mean, he got 145 targets this year. His career high year in 2023, he had 164 targets. The number for me is going to be somewhere around there in terms of target share, with Odunze cracking probably 115 to 120. I don't see them fully leaning onto the run game and DeAndre Swift. We need to see what they're doing in free agency as far as addressing their offensive line. If they go and get Trey Smith from the Chiefs and heavily invest in guards in their interior offensive line, I would be more bullish on DeAndre Swift. But as it stands right now, ifs and nuts, candy and butts, whatever the saying is, I'm thinking that DJ Moore is going to cap out around 150 to 155 targets, with him finishing with close to 100 catches again. We finished with 86 this year, but I think he'll crack 100 catches and finish somewhere around 12 or 1,300 yards. And then Rome will get close to 1,000 yards on 120 targets. And if he develops it, he or Cole Kmet will be the preeminent red zone threat on that team. I'm calling that right now. So
what do you think is the likelihood of a two-back system with DeAndre Swift and Roschon?
Very, very minimal, because their offensive line is putrid. Unless they are.
I think the Bears are live to go and draft a running back as well.
Yeah. I think they're drafting one as well. I think that
Caleb Johnson would look real good in that offense.
Big.
So would Roschon Johnson.
Yeah, well, Chev is done.
I'm not giving up.
I don't want my Roschon shares to be spoiled, man. I want that to work out.
No, because Roschon Johnson is 6 feet tall, six-ish, and 225 pounds, and DeAndre Swift is 5'9" and a little bit smaller. That yells to me, David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. Why would they draft somebody? They have McDonald's at home.
Hey, yeah, why go to America Junior? Why go to Canada?
I don't think Roschon Johnson is the odd man out here. I think it's DeAndre Swift, and I think that they're going to draft somebody to take that starter role.
Who did DeAndre Swift play for 3 years ago?
Ben Johnson.
Thank you.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm convinced. I'm convinced they're
known
drafting.
Quantities are always preferred to unknowns.
Well, I know what DeAndre Swift brings, and it's not a first, second down back. I don't see it.
That's Roschon is the between the tackles guy that can also be used in dump off passes on like a first down pass or whatever. And DeAndre Swift is the Jahmyr Gibbs kind of changeup.
Hey, we talked pre-show a little bit how prebiotics are kind of a scam. I think the idea of Roschon and DeAndre Swift being the two guys in 25 is a scam. I think
I'm on the same page.
I think you could just take that to finding another Monty and Gibbs backfield.
I'm not giving up on Roschon. I don't care.
Yeah, I'm not giving up on Roschon. I'm giving up on Swift. That's where I'll lie. Let's get this draft going. I don't even know if Chev is going to be around.
He will.
I don't. Yeah, he'll.
He always comes back.
He'll pull the trigger on his modem and get her back up. So, folks, we are doing a rookie mock draft. The best we could do is, the five of us, because we wanted to make it intimate, but Sleeper would not allow us to do a 5-person draft, so we're going to go 6-way here with a phantom drafter, if you will. That's going to be drafting Ashton. Maybe Ashton Genty's going to slide to 2 and really put bigz in a pickle here. How?
Nope.
Mike, you got to start it.
All right, okay, I'll start it off here. We're ready to rock. And I should mute it, bigz?
Thank you.
And we're off.
Oh my God! I just got sniped.
Oh, I got to cross him off my list.
No. What's the timer on here? Okay, so we got 3 minutes for Chev to get back.
Yeah.
I'm waffling here. Okay. And the reason I say that is because right now, if I'm in my actual home league draft and Genty goes number 1 and I have the 102, I am much, much more likely to go Tet McMillan than anybody else. Okay. We all just did a draft that DFK and I posted on Dynasty Stock Market over on Player Profiler. And I had the 3 spot and I took Travis Hunter with the idea that he's going to be a wide receiver only. I wouldn't make that pick if Travis Hunter wasn't going to be a wide receiver only. And I'm not trying to, talk off the board or whatever, but because Travis Hunter's there. But and so is Tet McMillan. I'm trying to waste time because I'm trying to get Chev back because.
Well, can I posit the question? In the idea that we have Travis Hunter primarily as a wide receiver, I think my case is he's going to get a quarterback who is going to state the case for Travis Hunter and demand that he be in the huddle a lot more. They'll manage his reps. They'll rotate series. Granted, Hunter will play both ways. I think, though, once he's inside that huddle and there's an influential quarterback tied to Hunter, he will be primarily a wide receiver and somebody who Travis Hunter I've seen go towards the 112 in the back half of the first, early second, because people say, hey, I burn a 111, I burn a 112. It's whatever for the upside that you could possibly see. We talked about meat off the bone for Rome Odunze. Just for that arbitrage, you get that late first round pick. Would we put Travis Hunter if we knew bona fide wide receiver primarily? He's going to play a ton. You still put Tet ahead?
No.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. Yes, I'm still going Tet first, but I'm hoping that Travis Hunter slides to number 6 and the Raiders grab him because Raiders don't have a need at cornerback, and he'd be a perfect wide receiver.
Yeah, but would Hunter be right up there? Like, hey, we're back at half of the first round. Boom, he's up there with Tet.
He's up there. Yeah, he's my wide receiver too. If he is going to only play wide receiver, since Chev isn't here, I'm gonna take Tennessee Titans quarterback Cam Ward.
Oh snap!
But I wanted him to see that. And I've the reason I say that I waffled. I'm looking at this class and I'm more bullish on Cam Ward than I've been in a long time, and I see most of the other positions as big tiers without any one person to run away with it. So I'm going the best quarterback in the draft.
That's what's up right there. Hey, we got Chev back.
Hey, it looks just like him.
Shultzy.
Hey, there he is.
There we go.
All right. I'm honestly surprised you went Cam Ward there, bigz.
Me too.
As far as Travis Hunter goes, this is gonna be really hard for me. I don't think I'm gonna be, based on my leagues and my draft capital and stuff. I don't have any back end first capital. So I probably won't end up with Hunter. I don't think we're living in a world where he's only going to play receiver. I think he's a better corner than he is a receiver. If I were running an NFL team, he'd be a full-time corner, and I'd sprinkle him on offense. Landing spot and whatever is going to happen with this dude playing time-wise is going to be we've never ran into this, right? Like, this is an unprecedented situation for fantasy football. It's going to be a fun one to write out. And yeah, I don't think I'm going to end up with any of them based on my teams, but here I'm going Tet. Wide receiver value just less than, the positional value. This dude the only little concern I've got is it's like a really high contested catch rate on this guy. which has been a scary thing for a lot of dudes over the past handful of years. Like if you're hitting a high contested catch rate, well, why? It's because you're not getting yourself wide ass open all the time, right? So that's a slight concern, but I'm not really that concerned in the long run. I think
so. You're not quite like on a concern scale. You're not quite Keon Coleman scared or worried.
Or no, I'm definitely not Keon Coleman, JJ Arcega-Whiteside level. No.
What do you think of the comps for Drake London?
I think I see a little bit of that. It's a little bit of a cop out, but I think if you mix him and like Mike Evans, just because of that long stride, man, like the way Tet strides down the field, that's Mike Evans, right? Like there's nobody else that looks like that with that height and with the speed we're looking at there. I don't know. I love this guy. Like I said, the one little concern there on me, but overall, I think he's going to be pretty awesome.
So let's say he lands with the New England Patriots. Drake May has Tet McMillan. We're wheels up right on him. This ends up becoming a huge value.
Yeah, absolutely. If you get him paired with like a legit quarterback, yes, to the moon.
Oh, Grindberg, you
slide dog. Yeah.
Dog.
I mean, I think this is a situation here. Marion Hampton, I think, is my RB2 in this draft class, and there's reasons why: his size, his brute strength, the way he can play between the tackles. He's got that upside. I think he's going to get good draft capital. I see him in the first round, maybe on the back end here, and I'm excited to see where he goes. He's got the skill set, the bruising situation, so I love it. Were you going to pick him there, Chev?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
1000%.
Now, just to get everybody to pump their brakes a little bit, I saw somebody with their analysis of this running back class, and they had even Genty historically as a second rounder. That was surprising to me. Anyway, Chev, who are you taking?
Decisions. So I thought I was going to somebody would make it easy for me to not have to pick Luther Burden here. And I could do something a little bit, just a little bit risque and take Omarion Hampton so I could talk about how much I love Omarion Hampton. But since I was robbed of that opportunity by one Mr. Grindberg, I will now go ahead and take one of my favorite running backs in this draft, Mr. 3 touchdowns in the national championship game. I'm going to take Quinshon Judkins, who I've had my eyes on since his freshman year.
Boy, thick.
Yeah. He's real thick and he's real good. And he has professional written all over him.
Okay,
and
well,
it makes me really excited.
I'm excited to see what bigz has got to say about him. You got him outside your top 5 in this class right now, bigz, Judkins, right?
Yeah. There's a lot. I did say he's tier 3. So he's within that 4 or RB3 to 6 range.
I can understand that. I mean, it's a really deep running back class at the top. I think that if we, obviously we're not necessarily conflating college production with pro potential, but everything I see from Quinshon Judkins is just David Montgomery on steroids. That's what I see. David Montgomery and Kareem Hunt had a baby that runs a low 4.5 and runs like he's pissed off that you're going to decide to try to attempt to tackle him. So, yeah,
I like him, and I have no quibble with anybody taking him as the third running back off the board, or the 4th, or the 5th, or the 6th. Like any one of those landing spots, I'd be like, yeah, that's where he should go.
My logic behind that, though, is just if Quinshon Judkins had not transferred to Ohio State and put another season together at Ole Miss, where he went back around, between 15 and 1,800 yards rushing because he's the lead dog and they have an elite offense again, there's no question about who's probably the RB2 or the RB3 in this class.
Sure. Oh, and we got Travion off the board.
So at this point, you want to lock in the top 5 running backs, and it's differentiation between Amarion Hampton, Judkins, Henderson, and of course somebody Johnson. I won't do too much table talk, but you've got your top 5 core running backs. With the 6 would be Singleton, Nicholas Singleton from Penn State. He's going to go back. So we have a core 5. It'll be interesting to see. We were talking about this in one of our Discord chats about who's running back 6, 7, 8 in that range. That second 5 essentially in the deep running back class. All I can say on the Judkins Henderson is you can make the case for both of them. What Chev talked about with what Judkins could do by himself, what Trevion Henderson could have done by himself. What's funny is Henderson and Judkins both knew when Judkins made that decision, he really had the smarts. He had to have seen national championship potential. You're going to be on the biggest stage, and you're going to preserve your body for the NFL. We see it all the time. Alabama running backs, they preserve. Georgia running backs, they preserve. There's certain programs that won't run guys into the ground. Ohio State is sending Judkins and Henderson to the NFL, fresh and ready to go. Nice thing about Henderson, he's got strong vision, soft hands, quick feet, versatile in the pass and rush. Had some bad injury luck, right? Don't get trapped into that timeshare, as we talked about. He's showed really well against the Texas Longhorns, how he can take over a game at any given moment. And just for the sweatpants to get a little bit more tight, imagine Janty doesn't go to the Dallas Cowboys and Trevion Henderson ends up there in the second round. Would love to see it. So my pick there, Trevion Henderson, and it'll crystallize. Once these running backs get a landing spot, it may end up being Hampton, who we all love. But of these guys, once it crystallizes, I think it'll shape a lot of what our rookie ADP is going to be.
Love it.
He's going to earn his way on the field too, pass blocking.
Yeah, that's another thing. It's like he's a professional. Like he's gonna do the dirty work. He's gonna be the guy that you can trust in pass pro. I'm really excited about it. But computer, do you want to talk about how you feel about Emeka Egbuka?
I'm so mad. I wanted Egbuka. We talked about him on the fantasy forecast a little bit earlier when we recorded tonight, and I've been high on him. Wrote an article on him a couple years ago, and love him. I was mad that he went back to school last year, but I understand it, and I understand it with Trevion too. Oh, with Luther Burden, I'm going to bank on the kids being a 5-star recruit and how 5 stars hit in the NFL, even if he had a bad year on a terrible team. I think there's high upside to Luther, and I just hope that his combine numbers kind of like get him into the conversation of the top few wide receivers. I waffled back and forth. I'm a waffler. I love waffles. Waffled back and forth between him and another guy, and ultimately I went with Burden because we're talking the 108 here or 107. And I think that's a good spot for him.
I can vouch for you there, bigz. You do like your waffles. 100%.
Hell yeah, waffles.
Waffles. Okay, Shultzy, talk us through this one here.
For me, it's gonna be. I'm not a Shadur guy. I don't believe in him. So for me, it's between Warren and Caleb Johnson. I'm gonna take Warren.
Good pick.
We have just seen what that dude can do at the next level. His game's going to translate, right? Like he's got the size, he's got speed at the position. He can run after the catch. He's got some good strength. This guy's game's going to translate. He's going to be really good, right? Like I think he's at least got floor to be just a solid NFL player who's going to go put up some points and yards, and that's going to be a thing, and it's going to be valuable for you. But at the flip side, he's got potential to just go absolutely smash. And back into the first round here where we're getting, that's what you're shooting for here, right? So yeah, give me some Tyler Warren.
He's a top 10 tight end for me out of the gate.
Yeah. I mean, I have no qualms about that. I feel like the floor for him is a guy like Cole Kmet.
I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
Like
The floor is Cole Kmet. The ceiling is somewhere between like Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, prime Travis Kelce.
And he's already, Tyler Warren is already number 4 on Player Profiler Dynasty ranks. So you've got Bowers, McBride, Laporta, and he's already getting that respect. So there's platforms out there that are very high already from the jump on Tyler Warren.
Oh, I'm mad now.
Oh, good pick.
All right, I just went ahead and picked Caleb Johnson.
I'm not mad because of that.
Well, you should. I'm just joking. No, it wouldn't have came down to you, but I just like Caleb Johnson. You know, he's one of the most exciting prospects in my opinion. He had a pretty good 2024, 1,500 rushing yards, 21 touchdowns, 6.4 yards per carry. His ability to break big runs, power through defenders. I think he's a home run threat. He's made strides as a receiver last year, 22 passes, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns. You know, in a draft class, you know, that is stacked. I still think that I like this situation. If he can get into a good landing spot, like Jeremiah mentioned earlier, the Bears or the Chargers or the Cowboys, all these guys are running back needy. And, you know, I just think that he's got that upside. And
Minnesota.
I'm excited about his potential to make that, you know, immediate impact right away. And he's firmly, to me, in the top 5 in the running backs, in my opinion.
I don't disagree with that. I don't know what it is about him that just does not just get my plums tingling. And I need to get more into the film, but I know everything that you just said is correct. And when I look at him, I see, you know, corn-fed Jordan Mason. And I'm like, that's cool. That's cool, I guess. You know, I don't really like. I have to do a deep dive to like fight my own biases, just against Iowa running backs in general. Iowa tight ends, golden. Running backs, yeah. And that's like I said, that's a personal bias thing that I've got to work through myself. So with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and take one of my favorite receivers in the class. I'm gonna go ahead and select Ole Miss wide receiver Trey Harris.
Great pick.
Yeah. Shout out to bigz for taking him in our first rookie mock that we did after I asked him about him, and he was like, and then fast forward 72 hours and is like, yeah, I'm picking this guy.
Well, you know that on that show, I was 100% crystal clear that I had knew nothing about him. And then when you and DFK were like, it's this guy, I was like, oh, that's the guy I keep seeing when I'm watching this guy. And then I did my homework and I fell in love, you guys.
So Scott Barrett put out a tweet where that, you know, and yards per route run aren't the end all be all of anything, but he's the first wide receiver to exceed 5 yards per route run at the collegiate level, minimum 200 routes run in a season. And everything about him to me just screams like, hey, I'm going to be way better at the next level than I am in college. And he was phenomenal in college. He had over 1,000 yards receiving this year, put up elite production despite only playing like 9 games, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, I'm really, really excited. I'm hoping that the Houston Texans decide to either the Texans or the Chargers are my ideal landing spots for him. And if they do, I'll move heaven and earth to try to get him in rookie drafts.
And I made it a point to talk about Luther Burden and his recruiting stars. And Harris was only a 2-star recruit. He made himself into a collegiate wide receiver. The recruiting isn't the end of everything. Trey Harris did it. Sorry.
He did it. I like Trey Harris as well. Big body. He's going to have that red zone opportunities too. He's very, 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 very talented. And yeah, I think he slides in there for sure for me as my wide receiver 4 in this class.
Yeah, Trey Harris has really good tracking skills. The question, of course, with that bright powder blue, is this an A.J. Brown re-roll? Scouts have mentioned his limited route tree. He's had some drops, but 3 straight 900 receiving yard campaigns. He owns Football Insights on X, 4.10 yards per route run versus man coverage. And Devonta Smith is the only one higher since PFF began charting it. Minimum 200 routes, Smith at 4.21 yards per route run versus man coverage. So that was from Fantasy Football Insights. I'm winding down. I'm going to go there with Shedeur Sanders. Essentially, if you aren't high on Shedeur Sanders, even at this point at 112, I don't see how you can pass up the quarterback here. The number 2 quarterback, flip-flop. For some people, Sanders is a 1. Sanders had over 4,000 passing yards, 37 touchdowns this year. Accuracy, touch, precision, good anticipation. I think part of the clapback for Shedeur Sanders, we've heard a lot of talk about different teams, and it's been a little more anonymous, but you get some Bleacher Report headline that says not many scouts are as enamored with Shedeur Sanders as people think. I think part of that is the fact that Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, they want to have agency. What did Eli Manning want? What did John Elway want? They wanted agency and a little bit of control in their situations from where they went. Shedeur Sanders, whether he wants that or not, I think the NFL doesn't like players having control. So I think that's where there's been some pushback. I think you'll end up having a lot more interest in Shedeur Sanders. And once it crystallizes, you won't be able to get Shedeur Sanders at the 112 in a Superflex format.
That's spot on. I mean, the value there is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And look, had Chev, had you taken, we were just like-minded. Had you taken somebody else, I was ready to take Judkins. Had you taken Sanders, I was ready to go Harris. So we're just one ripple effect away here. Love it.
This is, I'm fully ready for those picks to smash and then us to go back and be like, what was Chev doing?
I don't want any part of Shedeur Sanders. I don't want any part of Jalen Milroe. Neither of them says anything to me about being an NFL quarterback. I watched film on Shedeur Sanders, and it is very, very disappointing. And on the level of Bo Nix and Michael Penix circa 2022, they needed more time to incubate. He's not getting it. He's going to be thrown into the fire. God forbid he becomes the Raiders quarterback, which everybody and their sister are mocking him for the Raiders. Well, he's been working with Tom Brady for the last 4 years. Well, Tom Brady didn't make him into a good quarterback in 4 years. So what makes you think another 4 years with Tom Brady is going to do any good?
Now, I would just counter that at the 112, you still take somebody like Shedeur Sanders. You take advantage of what's called ADV, artificial dynasty value.
I get that.
And yep. So in this position, to your point, let's say I am bigz and I'm at the 112. We exercise the same fundamental thought of we're both going to take Shedeur Sanders in this situation, especially tied to a team. But you may be holding that ticket like, hey, I want to get out. Kind of to what you had talked about, bigz, on Ashton Janty. If you're at your rookie mock and you can't trade down, you go with Ashton Janty. You make that selection. You don't just give it up to somebody. And then you wait for opportunities and pockets where it's bullish. And that's where you have to have conviction. And then you sell off. Same thing with Shedeur Sanders. If you take him and then all of a sudden, the training camp, something's going good. Preseason games, he looks great on a drive in that final preseason game. You have to have that discipline, though, to offload for people who have that value up high, because it'll go quickly. If we are following our evaluation and we believe that the evaluation on Sanders is he's not really that good, then you got to sell, especially you have to have that discipline when you think, oh, maybe I might change my mind because things have been going well.
I get that. And I stated on the stock market show, when I'm in a rookie draft, I draft for my perceived NFL talent, not necessarily the market value of the player. And Shedeur Sanders, I understand what you're saying, but so does everybody that's still left holding the Will Levis bag. It just like he does not speak to me as somebody who's going to work out, and I'm not going to watch that value fall. I'd rather take somebody else, even if he was still available 2 picks later, I still would have taken Ollie Gordon because I see Ollie Gordon as having NFL success, and I don't see that from Shedeur Sanders, even though Ollie Gordon's value is bottoms right now.
All right, Schultzy, what are you thinking about Isaiah Bond? What's your thought behind that?
Well, I talked
fifth
about him last
receiver off the
week.
board.
So it's kind of was a driving factor here. We're starting to get into our little bit of no man's land, our first stretch here. But yeah, I like Isaiah Bond, man. I know he kind of came in Alabama, used as like a deep threat. I thought Sarkisian with Texas did a good job of kind of getting creative with him and doing more than Alabama did with him. And this guy's, a speedster, no doubt. He very well is going to run in the 4.2s, right? At the combine. Clocked 22 miles an hour this year as a ball carrier. That's just like ludicrous speed. I think there's some more polish to this guy's game as a whole than a lot of your typical speed, like straight up speedsters we've seen. Like it looked to me watching some of his cut ups, like he can find the spot in the zone and he can work after the catch. Yeah, I think there's a lot of potential here, man. Kind of the Xavier Worthy route. Landing spot's going to be big. Draft capital is going to be big, but I like Isaiah Bond.
You know who else ran 22 miles an hour, clocked by the bikini shirt?
You.
Lan Larison.
Hey.
Who's not on the draft board.
Have they? Yeah, I was gonna say, have they uploaded Lan Larison?
No, and they sent out a tweet. Who should we add? And I said, add his name. And you know who's on here? My 2026 101, Jayden Ott, who's going back to Cal.
Interesting. On NCAA, he always transfers from Cal. It kind of sucks.
He is a Samoan, and he is a Cal Bear, period.
Yeah.
All right, we see Mike goes with Dylan Sampson, Tennessee running back. Good
Triple down,
two-way player.
Devon
do you like
Achane
about him?
Light.
Oh, I got to hear this.
Oh, the people don't know. Oh, he's dropping some knowledge while he's on mute right now.
Mike,
All right, time's up, Mike.
Sorry,
Okay.
guys.
Chev,
And that is why Dylan Sampson is going to be the gem of this draft, guys.
beautifully played.
Yeah, well, we
Well
agree.
done, Steph.
Yep.
I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah, exactly. Chev, what do you got here?
I'm torn here. We're assuming tight end premium, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Oh, that's easy then.
Yeah, that's super easy. What do you even? Duh.
Yeah. This is Harold Fannin Jr. makes me want to take my pants off in the hardware store. All right, boys.
The hardware store.
He would have been my pick if Gordon wasn't there.
Listen, so I've gotten to see quite a few cut-ups of his all 22, and what I see is a cross between like Isaiah Likely and Trey McBride his last year at Arizona at Colorado State, and that makes me very, very excited. He's extremely nuanced. I would like to just shout out Ray GQ, your boy, coach. He had a tweet. He lined up at X receiver in 12 personnel 22% of the time on 22% of their snaps. So he's lining up out wide at X and winning. He had the most receptions ever for a tight end in a season. And it's not because they're first of all, you don't just, when I see a team that just decides to feed a tight end targets like this, Tyler Warren, look at Tyler Warren. Tyler Warren's going to be a top 15 pick, if not higher in this year's draft. Harold Fannin won't get that same capital unless he, tests like an absolute athletic freak. But the production and what he put on film is going to dazzle you. I'm going to write about him in my Senior Bowl write-up this here in the next couple of days, and that's going to require me to get into more of his film. And I guarantee you, my pants are going to come off in the hardware store again.
He's my tight end to watch on my Senior Bowl list.
Why are you writing articles in the hardware store?
With your pants off.
Free Wi-Fi.
Oh shit! Okay, can't argue with that. I mean, you dropped out of here once, so maybe you should start podcasting
Listen
from the
there.
store.
Yeah, I free Wi-Fi and the plumbing is a little bit better from what I understand.
I would hope so.
All right, boys, we're about an hour in here, so let's do
Whoa.
2 more rounds. Let's get through 2 more. Okay, so bigz, you're on the clock right now. You got a wide range of players. You got a quarterback, wide receiver, and a running back. What are you looking at right now, and why?
So
Start. Yep.
we have a teammate right here on the Undroppables named FF Coder, and he has a quarterback model matrix. Let me just read some names for you. This is top scorers in his model of all time. I don't know if it's all time. Number 1, Trevor Lawrence, 94.5.
Nice.
Number 2, Deshaun Watson, 91.2. Number 3, Caleb Williams, 87.05. Number 4, Justin Fields. Number 5, Jalen Hurts. Number 6, Jayden Daniels. Number 7, CJ Stroud. Number 8, Joe Burrow. Number 9, Justin Herbert. Number 10, Kyler Murray. Then Drake May. Then Patrick Mahomes. Then Jackson Dart. Jackson Dart is the highest rated in this model quarterback besides Jayden Daniels of the last couple of years and Caleb Williams. He would have been the quarterback 3 of last year's class. That's ahead of Bo Nix. That's ahead of anybody in this class. So I feel like taking him in roughly the third round. What is that? End of the second, I think is a great value for a guy that projects as a legit career NFL quarterback with rushing upside. Thanks, FF Coder.
All right, I'm taking Devin Neal. I haven't taken a running back yet. This is a random anecdote on my end, but over the last 2 years, I've randomly bet on Kansas games a decent amount. I don't know, I think probably betting overs. I've bet a lot of overs on Kansas games. So I've watched a decent amount of Devin Neal, and I don't know. This dude's just good at football, right?
Yes, very.
Sometimes like this, I don't think this guy's Bucky Irving, but this is kind of the same thing I felt with Bucky Irving last offseason. Like, this dude can just play football. And I haven't taken a running back yet, and he's the best one on the board left for me. I'm a fan of Devin Neal. I think he's going to be pretty solid.
All right, I'm going to go Matthew Golden.
Damn it!
Okay, well that's I like him. I just think he's he's very versatile. He's got that explosive big play threat, good hands, good in the short areas, not too bad of a route runner either, and great instincts. He has some inconsistent play due to his size, I think, not the biggest catch radius, and injuries can be a concern, but I just like his situation, and he showed out a little bit here. And Texas wide receivers, they're kind of a variable at this stage, but he's one that I liked what I saw in the minimal tape that I've watched from him. So I'm going to take a stab.
Very, very, very nice to both of you. I was thinking that both of those guys would be available at my pick, and I would get to say all the things that you just said. But but I'm going to go with a guy that we've talked about. We talked about him last week on the show, since I was robbed of this opportunity to wax poetic. I am madly in love with RJ Harvey. I think that he could fall in the draft because he's coming from a small school, even though he was a consensus All-American this year. And, he to me, he displays all of the explosive traits of a guy a Bucky Irving type. I think that his long speed is a little bit better, but the type of suddenness that he has, I think, translates to him being, a day one type of space back like we had planned on Bucky Irving being before he stole that job from my one true love, Rachaad White.
Yeah, man, jump, cut, and go. RJ Harvey just gets up the field. It's kind of like a juke in a video game. Tight in spaces, quick lateral ability, and he's up the field. He goes outside of the zone, doesn't go through too much in the gaps. Reminds me of Rashad Penny. Rashad Penny would really run and try and take it outside. That's something that I think can be fixed, and especially in a complementary role. Ironically, I would love RJ Harvey in Jacksonville in the event that Travis Etienne ends up with another team. Let's say it's the Kansas City Chiefs, just because we want to have the tight sweatpants. And then you have Tank Bigsby as a gap runner, and then RJ Harvey in support. Sign me up, man. Sneaky play. And people would be off him a little bit. Chev talked about RJ Harvey, hoping people would be off him. We want him to land in kind of a precarious situation where it's not bell cow, it's not obvious. It's just hidden a little bit, like shh. And then we stash him, get our numbers up, and then he provides a big boost to our teams.
There are a number of wide receivers who are still on the board. I only have 2 picks left. I'm not going to be able to get more than one of them because there's another guy that I have to take. So I'm going to go with a guy that I talked about last week and then immediately went to Twitter, and his name was all over Twitter after we had recorded the show. People couldn't have been watching. They couldn't have been seeing what I was saying. But I'm going to take Jalen Royals from Utah State.
I knew it.
This dude is very, very under the radar, and he's going to absolutely smash. He runs a sub 4.40. I'm going to get to see him at the Senior Bowl. He's one of my watch list. He's got great hands. He's got great short routes. He's got great intermediate routes. He's an even better deep threat. And he's been comped to Malachi Corley, who I loved coming out last year, and Ladd McConkey. And those are comps that I'll take. Jalen Polk is in there as well. And so, that could be a behavioral thing. But I really, really like Jalen Royals, and I think he's going to make some NFL team very, very happy.
62% contested catch rate in 2024 before he broke his foot.
He's good.
And then I want to call back to when RJ Harvey went with Chev, I was like, please don't take Alec Ayomanor, and vice versa. If he would take him, I would have been looking at RJ Harvey. So we're on a mind meld there. For Mike's sake, Ayomanor is Canadian, so we have to always mention that. That's very important. Eric Edholm from NFL.com gave physical comps to Puka Nacua, Michael Wilson, 6'2", 210 pounds. I love his size. Dane Brugler in a mock sent Ayomanor to the Commanders. That would be a great fit. And a big performance that can stick in people's minds. Travis Hunter in 2023. Ayomanor matched up against him. 13 receptions, 294 yards, receiving, and 3 touchdowns. So he's going to show out at the Senior Bowl. His stock is going to go up. So from where I'm getting him, he will rise after next week. And just one note, I have been typing in Travis Hunter. He's not on the board at all, is he? Because he's somebody
No, you can't get him.
I would have taken, and I think probably a host of us would have taken him somewhere at a value.
Yeah, especially my home league is an IDP. So I'm going to snatch him, and he's going to wind up on my team one way or another.
Anybody listening at home, just know when we search, Travis Hunter is not on there. So he would be slotted somewhere, I would say, at the end of the first round, at least.
I like Ayomanor. I watch a lot of Stanford football than I'd like to, and he's been the only good player on that team since Michael Wilson left. So the Michael Wilson comp is a good one. They have a type.
Hey, dude, this guy dropped that stat line in a half too. That was entirely in the second half against Travis Hunter.
And remember that big catch in the end zone he had over Hunter. Mm-hmm. It was just very dramatic, and he's big bodied. Talking about Ted McMillan, he can go up and get a jump ball, but there's also separation there. 2 dust defenders.
Oh shit! My timer's running out, and that's not who I wanted. Oh well.
Tez is fine.
I know. Well, I was gonna take Xavier Restrepo.
Talk about Xavier Restrepo, bud.
Falling in the same line of Devin Neal, I said, just like, this is just good at football, right? A dude I see, also another Miami receiver. This dude's got some Allen Hurns to his game, where he's just he's good at everything. He's not going to excel at any one thing, but he's going to get him on the field. He's going to see targets, and he's going to produce. He may not ever just go out there and throw, get you 12, 1,300 yards and double-digit touchdowns, but drafting in the third round of a rookie draft and nailing a guy who's going to have a good NFL career and get playing time for years and put up some numbers, sign me up.
So this is Xavier Restrepo to me. Miami game is on television. I'm not watching it. I'm doing something else, maybe messing around on my phone, and I just keep hearing his name over and over and over again. That's when you're not watching it for somebody to impress you, but they just keep saying his name. The dude is special.
I'm never going after Grindberg again. This is just
Oh, dude,
the absolute worst.
Same.
Well, yeah, I mean, Cam Scatabo is a guy that I think, in other classes, he probably would have been ahead. He's got the right size, 5'11", 215. He's got the ability to break some tackles. He's got a lot of run power. He's tough, and he's got good vision. Not the greatest top-end speed, and he's not, explosive to hit those home runs. But I like him as a power runner, a great downhill runner, and in the right system, in the red zone, he could be a powerful force. So I'm going to go with another running back, and Cam Scatabo is my guy.
So another issue here is Sleeper hasn't added Jaylen Noel.
I know. I was looking for the two Iowa State guys, and they're not here.
Yeah, Jaden Higgins is there, and that's going to be my pick because Jaylen Noel is not there.
There it is. Okay.
Yeah, my pick here would have been Jaylen Noel. I'm about to write about him for our Senior Bowl write-ups for Player Profiler. I see a more explosive Robert Woods type. He's an elite route runner, nuanced, explosive rack ability. He's beating press. He's setting people up. He's tempoing his routes. Everything that you said about the YouTube generation of receivers being very advanced from playing a lot of 7-on-7, that applies to Jaylen Noel in spades. His teammate Jayden Higgins, who I took here, is more of a big body. Like Alec Iomanner, but I like his suddenness and his ability to decel, and he also wins those contested catch situations way more. And what I like about him most is that despite being 215 pounds or so, he's getting in and out of his breaks like a much smaller man, and I think that he's going to impress at the Senior Bowl this week.
And if you like Higgins and Noel, you're gonna love Rocco Becht next year when he comes out.
Oh, once you started talking about him, he was on my list.
You got any thoughts on Restrepo, Coach?
Yeah, I like him. He's going to be somebody who now, granted, respect to Shultzy, he was on him. He was sharp to pick him there. Between Alec Iomanner and Xavier Restrepo, they're both going to show out at the Senior Bowl. Their stock is going to rise. Restrepo, hey, think about it. Cam Ward is there at the 102. There's got to be somebody on the other side. Every Monday when Mike and I go over Player Profiler News Primetime and we talk about the top performers, it's consistently quarterback and somebody stacked with those players in those top 3, top 5 rankings. So it just makes sense that Cam Ward would yield somebody to come along with him. And Restrepo is wanting to. He's been talking about, wants to show that he can pass block, can win in the short, intermediate, and the long game. He's going to be a very versatile weapon. Put in the right offense. Can he be a complementary? Could he replace Andre Yoshivas with Joe Burrow? People would just go nuts over that. Could he be a player who could go opposite of Nico Collins and cut up just a different way in that offense? Could he be a complementary weapon to somebody like Brian Thomas Jr.? So there's all these different opportunities that are out there for Xavier Restrepo. I really like him as somebody to rise for his stock in this Senior Bowl. You may see he and Iomanner in the second round of your rookie mocks going forward.
I love that you brought up the Andre Yosevas, just other complimentary guys, because one of the, not like as a player skill set comp, but like TJ Hushmanzada was on my mind, like as the second fiddle dude who's just going to be there and produce.
Yep.
And you need different route combinations within the wide receiver position. There are different roles, and they're not necessarily the same archetype, right? Somebody like Tet McMillan and Luther Burden are just not the same. They may play the same WR that's next to their name, but they play an entirely different role on their respective offenses. So having a sharp team, the right team, take on Restrepo would be huge. So if you're self-scouting out there, you hope some of these teams that are sharper will self-scout and see the area of need there instead of having duplicate receivers that they want to go out and get. Like, say, the Bengals wouldn't want to go and get necessarily Trey Harris because they'll likely re-sign T. Higgins and have Jamar Chase. So they need a certain kind of role player, and they won't have to pay such a high price.
Hushmanzdeh. All
Championship.
right. Throwing out the Rocco Beck name, who everybody knows I've been on since he was a freshman. One thing that I really, really like in football players is bloodlines. I was a big fan of Brennan Rice. I was a big fan of Luke McCaffrey. I'm a big fan of Odunze Gadsden Jr. I've had this guy in Devi for the last couple of years, and he's dealt with some injuries. That's why he stayed in college for an extra year. He could have come out in 2024's draft, but he got hurt during the season in 2023, and so he elected to go back to school and put some more on tape. Had a pretty good year. He was part of a fairly productive Syracuse offense, and the dude is just an absolute beast. He's like 6'7" and athletic, and he looks like the kid from Indianapolis who's totally
Jelani Woods.
Yeah, he looks like Jelani Woods, but that can actually like get involved. And I really like Odunze Gadsden Jr. a lot.
Good pick.
I got auto picked because of my last round mishap, and that's on me, fam. But I would have taken Gunnar Helm, Texas tight end. If we're mocking tight end premium here, I would have double dipped. This guy got overshadowed by Jatavion Sanders. Got his shot this year, and he produced, man. I also had like 50 catches, 500-600 yards, handful of touchdowns. That's a season right there for a college tight end, man. Like, I think this guy's going to translate. He's going to be a good tight end. So, yeah, sitting here this late in a tight end premium.
I apologize.
Taking a stab at a tight end.
You took a stab on two tight ends. You're stabbing That's away. Right. There you go.
Captain stabbing.
There it is. All right. I went with Torrey Horton. How could you not? You know, Tim Hortons was a huge fan up here in Canada. So I'm going to get my Timbit fill here, and I'm going to go with Torrey.
You're ruining my draft.
There you go. Yeah.
Absolutely ruining my draft.
So if you wanted to see Chev's actual team, it's mine. Right in front of his. No, I like Torrey Horton. First team all Mountain West. He's had a long history of, decent games, good hands, good passing attack, rapid acceleration. He's got some concerns about, his route tree and stuff. And he's not the biggest guy, but I still think he's got some opportunity in the right situation.
It was really weird. They almost exclusively ran him on like drags.
Yeah.
It was really like they used him as a real wide receiver in 2023. And then in 2024, they just decided to use him on like drags primarily.
I didn't watch a whole lot of his tape, but the stuff that I've been looking through and stuff like that, I see some potential there, and in a class that hasn't got a whole lot of huge playmakers, he can come out as one.
Yeah, no, he reminds me of another Colorado State receiver from yesteryear, Rashard Higgins. Mm-hmm. Hollywood Higgins is who he sort of reminds me of. My pick, I took Rashard Smith from SMU. Guy I really liked. I just what he put on film. He's electric. He's not very big, and so I think that I think that his profile will be dependent upon, like, his draft capital will solely be dependent upon how he tests, because everything on film says that he's really, really explosive. He's really slippery. He's an excellent pass catcher. I mean, Woody Marks is probably the best pass catching back in the draft. I'll let Coach talk about that. But Brashard Smith is a plus pass catcher, electric in space, can hit a home run, but he's only 197 pounds, and he just doesn't have the BMI that you're going to see get heavy draft capital, but he's an excellent football player. And this late in the draft, you want to just take a shot on a guy you know can play football, who may not show up in the combine, but he's absolutely going to show up once OTAs and the pads come on.
I have breaking news. I want to jump in here real quick on Blue Sky. Friend of the show and former guest Hoove has just tweeted, after moving Derek Carr to Tennessee and Geno Smith to the Raiders, you'd be surprised at how easily everything else falls right into place.
My computer's about to die again.
Hoove, fuck you. Constantly trolling me with Shedeur Sanders, and now he's giving me Geno Smith to the Raiders. I wouldn't hate that, but come on, man. Quit fucking with me.
He put Derek Carr on the Titans. I don't want the Mascara Madman anywhere near my franchise.
I'll take him back.
I love it. What a great draft, you guys.
I got other guys I want to talk about.
Talk a little bit about little Woody Marks.
Yeah,
Richard
so
Marks.
hasty,
I thought it was Richard
friend.
Marks.
Got to make my mark on Marks. So what are we at? We did we do exactly enough for 3 rounds? 6 by 6.
That's about 3.5.
36 by 12 is 3, right?
Oh no, we did 6. No, I was doing math on 5 people. I forgot about our computer friend.
We're right on 3 rounds, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Woody Marks is just a name that continually comes up right around this time, and this just shows you the depth of this class. So if you want to climb the arbitrage ladder down, you can go towards, and I've done this in other mocks where I'll pay up for Tyler Warren because I know deep down, let's look around through the other rounds for the running backs. Somebody like Dylan Sampson, DJ Giddens, Cam Scatbo. Okay, whether that's ADV or not, Cam Scatbo's getting a lot of hype. RJ Harvey. There's so much depth to this class. You get beyond the big 5. We even had Ollie Gordon. We saw the penultimate season for Ollie Gordon go off. We've seen the Oklahoma State running backs. Chuba Hubbard, his penultimate season went off. He's doing great in the NFL. So Ollie Gordon, the story's not over yet. But look down too. You can go throughout the draft and you can get your Tyler Warren. You can get your Trey Harris's. You can get your value, which is presenting itself, which are presented for me, Shedeur Sanders. And you can go all the way down, get your Ayomanners, get your Restrepos, which Shultzy was talking about, and then get down to Woody Marks. Woody Marks, 1,100 rushing yards on 198 carries last year. Ready for this, 47 catches, 321 yards. If a guy can hit 20 receptions, we like that for trackability to the NFL. This guy goes and gets 47 receptions, sign me all the way up. And we've seen, and not saying he's going to be Devon Achane, but Devon Achane, the utility through which he has been productive in his sophomore season, Devon Achane, it was really from the passing game. So in receiving. So I really like Woody Marks as a home run pick in the 3rd round of the draft. And I would just challenge people to early on, beyond those top 5 running backs, try and find other positional value because you can keep pushing down and see how good running back class is. And I'll just say, 3rd round picks in bulk. I think we've talked about this before. Get your 3rd round picks in bulk because these sorts of players are going to present themselves for you, and you can run circles around your league mates who are just like the mosquitoes in the bug life, right? Where they're just going towards the light for the Ashton Genty. They only see what's at the top. But you at home are sharp because you follow the Dynasty Pulse and see what we dropped here.
Exactly. And I always say, Always add third and fourth rounders when you're making a trade. If you want to trade, you come up with a fair trade, you put it together, then you add a third or a fourth. If somebody offers you, you send them back a counter that includes a third or a fourth.
Yeah.
Let's talk about some guys real quick that are still on the board. We got Savion Williams, 6'5", 225, wide receiver out of TCU. The guy's an absolute beast, and he's not drafted right now. We've got Brew McCoy, 6'3", 230 pounds. Not a lot of people know who Brew McCoy is. He's still available. You do your homework and you'll find out. One of my favorite running backs in this class that nobody's talking about that I would have taken in our other draft if I could have, and I will definitely have eyes on and a camera on at the Senior Bowl is Bashal Tutin. He's a wonder. There are so many guys who are still left. We got Ty Felton. He's still out there. We got guys who aren't even included in this list of players available to draft. I love this class. It's deep, deep, deep. I love P Invalid. How do I say that? Player Invalid. I'm kidding. A couple of spots that are no, I love this class. We saw last year, right? We saw last year how there were guys being drafted in the 7th round. COVID screwed a whole lot of things up. And one of the things that screwed up was people leaving early. So players are staying for a long time in college football, and they're coming out in the draft. And these drafts are no longer 3 rounds deep. You're now getting NFL starting caliber college kids coming out in the 6th and 7th rounds. And that applies to every position group on an NFL squad, not just necessarily defensive backs or whatever, but running backs, wide receivers, tight ends. These guys are going in the 6th and 7th round, and they're every bit as good as your 4th rounders in the NFL draft from 5 or 6 years ago. So stack up all the picks that you can. Your taxi squad is there for a reason. Use it.
Hey, and if you think people went nuts for Kamani Vidal, wait till there's a horde of players who get drafted through all these rounds this year. And especially, yep, there you go. Oh, they go to the Chargers. Anybody with a pulse more? Hey, wheels up.
And I love what you say about adding those picks into a trade, because if someone is sending you the trade, that means they like it. A lot of times, if someone's offering you a trade, they're already planning on, adding a little bit more, negotiating. Like, nobody is ever, I'm going to throw this offer out there, it's going to get taken. Like, that's ideal, but it's not likely, right? So if you get that offer and you just say, throw me a third, throw me a fourth, throw me a third, I'll give you a fourth, like later down the road. Like, it's so easy, like bigz was talking about, to just add these picks in as such a throw in, and someone's going to say, oh, I'll just throw that shit in because you're giving me blank wide receiver who's a vet, right? Like, add them all.
Hey, and slide the lever too. If you're trading back on rookie draft day, slide back a few spots.
Yeah.
Pluck the third.
The other part of that is that you want to be in every single tier of the draft. So if it's a 5-round home league, if it's a 4-round draft, whatever the number of rounds is, you want to be able to be in every single one of those rounds. So if you go into it and you're giving up the back half of your draft to jump up into the 2nd round, you're going to sit there and you're going to watch these guys go off in the 3rd and 4th rounds and go, dang, I missed them. If you continue to work that roster construction magic and make sure that you are involved in every single round, you will have the opportunity to be snatching some of these guys. Puka Nacua, 4th and 5th round in some of the rookie drafts. What do you think guys that traded all of their 3rd, 4th, and 5th round picks felt when Puka Nacua started going off later on that season? They had the opportunity to do that. They just traded out of it. So make sure that you are involved in every single tier of the draft.
And funny enough, when you are trading a 1st or a 2nd round pick, and it involves a player, you're getting that like for like value. And it's funny enough, you're realizing the value immediately in the form of a player who has that value, or you're adding picks. But the beauty is, by having volume, I mean, how often does it work where you press a third for a player that's already established in the league versus you gain volume in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th rounds of your rookie drafts, and you hit on those players because you've had opportunity versus the player evaluation of something that you hope happens.
Yeah. Pretty rich, you guys. What a good show. Anything else to add, gentlemen, before we head into the weekend?
Kyle Monangai.
What Chev said.
I looked for him. He wasn't
He's not in
the
there
queue.
yet.
Yeah.
So this is obviously Sleeper just added, a batch of rookies to the class. I'm assuming that they're going to continue to add more people. Hopefully soon, probably after the Senior Bowl's over with. But yeah, Kyle Monangai is another name to add to that list of an incredibly deep running back class.
Did Taj Brooks declare?
Taj Brooks isn't in there yet. This is going to be super useful. But also get familiar with some of these names. Don't be the guy. We talked about it last episode. Don't be the guy who only knows, the first 12 to 16 players in the draft. Listen to us. Acquire late seconds, thirds, early fourths. If you have a 5-round draft, get 5th-round picks too. Those have value. This is a really deep class with future professionals. It may not be like superstars, like we pegged guys like bigz doing Ladd McConkey and BTJ and Marvin Harrison Jr., but there's a lot of value in this class. So yeah, listen and do what we're telling you to do and profit, please.
Yeah. Shout out to everybody that's helped make this show really successful. Except for Hoove, but shout out to Travis Seal who helped us again. Rock out some great, show dressings and all that kind of stuff. He's been a pinnacle to our team here. Bradley Stalder, who's helped us get this show off the ground on the FF Plus network, and everybody on the Andropolis network.
Shout out
Chalk, Jax, giving us the platform, and big things are coming for the Pulse, everybody, in the new year, and we're excited to keep this show rolling. Bigz, do what you do so well, my man.
On camera? We hope you win.
We hope you win.